What a day it was! There were so many letters to be read, so many of the world's doings to be caught up with. That night, as they sat about the fire, even nuts and candle-lighters were forgotten. They sat with wide eyes and clasped hands while Mother read aloud from the back the numbers of the young lady's friend and the mother's assistant, and Clara turned the pages of Godey's lady's book and sighed over the beautiful costumes. At bedtime they knelt together as they did when the circuit rider came, and Father gave thanks for the end of the war, and begged that Mr. Lincoln be made strong and wise to lead them back to peace and security. Spring came quickly in the next few days, and what a happy spring it was, with no shadow of war to spoil its glitter. All through the woods sprang up a carpet of trilliums and windflowers and hepaticas. They were delicate pink and blue and white, and there were so many of them that picking did not spoil them. The wild cherry trees put on dresses of white like brides, or young ladies at their first ball. The tender new leaves on the trees were almost as many colors as in autumn. Some were softly yellow and some pinkish red, some light bronze or copper. Later they would be all green, and they would grow dusty with summer and look tired and languid in the heat. But now everything was fresh and young. The magic time of year, Caddie called it to herself. She loved both spring and fall, and in the turning of the year, things seemed to stir in her that were lost sight of in the commonplace stretches of winter and summer. One April afternoon she went by herself to gather flowers in the woods. The mourning doves had come back, and they were making a little sad refrain through the singing of the pines. The buckets hung empty on the sugar maple trees, for the syrup season was ended. There were some new pine slashings that filled the air with perfume. Like the birch smoke, the smell of clover, the pine smell was a Wisconsin smell, and because she loved them so, they were a part of caddie woodlawn. There was a flash of red on the branches above her head, and Caddie caught her breath in sharply. The cardinals were back. Almost every year a pair of them nested in the woods, and Father always expressed his surprise at seeing them so far north. "They've come in from the south," said Caddie to herself. "Maybe they saw Nero." With her hands full of flowers, she skirted around the farm, through the woods, until she came to the hill north of the house. There she could look down and see how house and barnyard spread out beneath her, and Robin Ireton spading the garden and never guessing that someone watched him from the hill. Here in the edge of the woods on the north hill was Lady Mary's grave. Father had made a little white picket fence around it to show that this was no longer woods but belonged to little Mary. It was hard to remember little Mary now. She had come with them from Boston, but she had died so soon and gone to rest on the North Hill. No one missed her now. It was hard to imagine that she would have been Hetty's age if she had lived. But sometimes it was nice to come here and sit beside her. Besides, it was so peaceful on the hill, and one could see so far and think far thoughts. Caddie braided the stems of her flowers together into a garland and hung it across the little white fences for Mary. Then she leaned back on last year's autumn leaves and this year's flower and fell into a sort of happy daydream. Presently she heard someone coming up the hill, and she sat up to see who it was. Hetty's energetic small legs were bringing her up the hill, her red pigtails bobbing and shining. "Oh, bother," said Caddie. "She's got something to tell." But today Hetty had nothing to tell. She came up quietly and sat down beside Caddie, her round face flushed with the climb. "I saw you up here, and I thought I'd come too," she said. "It's nice up here," said Caddie. "Yes, it is nice," said Hetty. After a while she added, "It's kind of nice to be just us two alone, too, isn't it, without the boys? But I guess it's more fun for you with the boys." "Oh, I don't know," said Caddie. "Sometimes I get kind of tired of being with the boys all the time. I came off by myself today." "Maybe you'd rather I hadn't come," said Hetty. There was something unexpectedly wistful in her bright eyes. "Why, no," said Caddie. "I think it's nice since you came, Hetty. I really do." A pleased smile brightened Hetty's face. They sat on in silence for a while, but Caddie's mood of vacant daydreaming had passed. Something in Hetty's face had started a whole train of unaccustomed thoughts. She stole occasional glances at the serious round face, turned now across the farm toward the road which wound away in the distance. It was almost as if Caddie had never seen the little face before. Suddenly she understood for the first time that Hetty was all by herself. Minnie was too young, and Tom, Caddie, and Warren had no room in their adventures for a tagging and tattling little sister. Was her eagerness to be the first to tell only her way of trying to make herself important in the eyes of all the selfish older people? If little Mary had lived. Page 208.